Good morning, second grade. This morning we're going to be working on a phonics skill that you might remember from first grade. We're going to be working on contractions. So a contraction is when you take two short words and you put them together to make an even shorter word. And the new short word is a combination of the two words that you started with. For example, they plus will makes the contraction they'll. So let's take a look at some examples. So we're going to be talking about contractions today that have a double L. So one of the words is will. And we're going to be talking about contractions that have the letter D, which is short for the word would in a contraction. So let's begin by looking at a couple of contractions, I'll and I'd. So the contraction I'll is what we're going to start with. If we have I, and we know that the letter I is when we're talking about ourselves, correct? I am happy to see you. I like ice cream. So this capital letter I, when we see it in writing, we know that this refers to a person. It actually refers to you. Then we have the word will. So I and will are two short words that can be put together to make an even shorter word, and that's a contraction. So for example, you might say, I will do my homework. Then you're using two separate words, I will. But you could say, I'll do my homework. So you can take I will, put them together, and make the contraction I'll. The contraction I'll is written this way. So we keep the letter I. Then in the word will, we drop the W, we drop the I. And because the W and the I would follow this I, that's where our apostrophe goes. And then we keep the two L's. So let's look at that again. I plus will equals I'll. So what letters did we drop? We dropped the W and we dropped the I. So where the W and the I were before, that's where our little apostrophe goes. So in a word that's a contraction, we have a letter, we have an apostrophe, and then we have two letters from the second word. So I plus will equals I'll. So remember, the apostrophe always goes in place of the letters that you dropped. So we drop the two letters in front of the LL, we drop the WI, so the apostrophe goes where the W and the I were taken from in the second word. Let's take a look at another one. This word is I, and we're going to add the word would. I plus would. And that's going to equal a contraction. So a sentence might sound like, I would love to come over to your house. Well, instead of saying, I would love to come over to your house, you could take I and would, combine those two words to make the contraction I'd. So let's take a look at how we would write I'd. I would love to come over to your house. I'd love to come over to your house. So we're going to keep our capital letter I. And after the I, we're going to put our apostrophe. We're going to drop the W-O-U-L, and we're only going to keep the letter D. I'd. So I plus would equals I'd. Here's our letter I. The letters that we dropped were W-O-U-L. Those letters are right in front of the D. So here's the D that we kept. The letters that we dropped would be in front of the D. The contraction always goes in the same place as the letters, the apostrophe always goes in the same place as the letters that you dropped to form your contraction. Okay? So let's take a look at some more words. We're going to blend. Okay, second grade, let's take a look at blending some contractions now. Are you ready? So this is just like our regular phonics blending. So this week we focused on blending words that have the spellings AI and AY. That was our first phonics target skill of the week. This is our second phonics target skill of the week. It's contractions. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look. So, sound wa, sound e. What's the word? We. Sound wa, sound e. Blend and hold. Weed. Weed. So as you can see, this is a contraction, right? Here's our apostrophe. So weed is a contraction for we would. The apostrophe goes in place of all the letters that we dropped from the word would. Let's take a look at another one. Sound ya, sound oo. What's the word? You. Sound ya, sound oo. Blend and hold. You. You'll. So this is another contraction. You, apostrophe, L. You'll is a contraction for you will. So let's read line 1. We have we, weed, you, you'll. Line 2. Sound, I. This is the pronoun that you use when you're talking about yourself, correct? Sound, I, blend and hold. I'll. What's the word? I'll. This is a contraction for I will. Here's our apostrophe. We dropped the W and the I from the word will, and we only kept the 2 L's. Sound, ha. Sound, e. Blend and hold. Heed. Heed. This is a contraction for he would. He, there's our apostrophe. We drop the W, O, U, L. There's our D. Sound, ha. Sound, e. What's the word? He. So let's take a look at line 2. I'll. This means I will. He'd. This means he would. And he. Okay, line 3. We're actually going to repeat that word. Sound, I, blend and hold. I'll. Remember, this is a contraction for I will. Sound, ha. Sound, e. Blend and hold. Heel. Now I'm going to stop and ask you, do you think you know what 2 words the contraction heel is made from? Turn and tell someone in the room. Did you say he will? You're correct. Good job, 2nd grade. Heel is a contraction for he will. Sound, the. Sound, a. What's they? Now, what if we want to make a contraction for they would? We're going to take they, we're going to add an apostrophe and a letter D. What's the word? They'd. This means they would. An example sentence might be, they'd love to be here, but they have work to do first. That means they would love to be here, but they have work to do first. And let's take a look at our next word. Sound, the. Sound, a. Blend and hold. That. Now we're going to turn that into a contraction. If I add an apostrophe and a D, our new word is thatted. Boy, that's a funny sounding word, isn't it? Thatted. When you say that word by itself, you almost wonder what it even means. But you might hear someone say a sentence that sounds something like, you should pick up your toys. That'd be a really good idea. What they're saying is, you should pick up your toys. That would be a really good idea. So that'd, the contraction means that would. That'd be a good idea. Let's read line 3, 2nd grade. I'll, he'll, they'd, that'd. Okay, let's take a look at line number 4. Sound, the, sound, blend and hold. That. Now what if I add an apostrophe and I put an LL? Now I've made a contraction, haven't I? My contraction is that'll. That's a funny sounding word, isn't it? That'll. But if someone said to you, pick up your toys and put them in your toy box and that'll do for now. We'll clean the rest later. What they're saying is that will do for now. We'll clean the rest later. That'll do, that will do. Sound, I, blend and hold. I'd. This is a contraction that means I would. I'd love to see you. And I really would. Sound, sh, sound, E, blend and hold. She'll. This is a contraction that means she will. Here's our word she. Here's our apostrophe. Here's our LL. We dropped the WI from the word will. So the apostrophe always goes in place of the letters that are dropped. Sound ya, sound oo, blend and hold. You'd. So you'd is a contraction that means you would. There's our apostrophe for the letters that we dropped. Remember, the apostrophe always goes in place of the letters that you dropped from the second word when you form a contraction. Let's read line 4. That'll, I'd, she'll, you'd. Okay, now we're going to do our sentence. Sound wa, sound e, blend and hold. We'd, sound, ul, sound, I, blend and hold. Like. We can't blend this word. It's to. We don't blend that word because when you say the word to, it doesn't sound the way that it looks. We'd like to sound, s, sound, wa, sound, I, blend and hold. Swim. This is the last word in my sentence, so I'll put a period here. Let's go back and read our sentence, second grade. We'd like to swim. Okay, so in summary, today's phonics skill are contractions. We're forming contractions using the word would and the word will. So let's take a look at our examples. In the word we'd, this is a contraction for we would. And the word he'll, this is a contraction for he will. Remember, you always put the apostrophe in the place where you dropped the letters from the second word. Okay? See you next time, second grade.